All right, so now that we have talked about index arrays and associative arrays, I want to talk about the IFS variable. So this is built into Bash, and you might be asking yourself, like, why? Is this even related to arrays? It is, and I'm going to show you how it comes up. This plays a bigger role than what I'm going to show you with it, but this is one of those variables where I don't need to modify that much in my script. I typically only modify it if I'm reading data line by line, and I will show you that in further chapters. But for now, I want to show you something magical about it, because let's go back to, let's do our associative arrays here. So actually, no, let's start with the indexed arrays here. So we have our first array, foobar, baz, and we do all this. Let's make this simpler. Let's just say array equals foobar, baz, and then we can echo array is array. Give it the star because we want to stringify it, and that's it. So if this all works, it's just say array is foo space bar space baz. And that's what we get. That's awesome. It stringifies it, but what character does it use to stringify it? Well, it uses the first character of this magical variable called IFS. This is built into Bash. It's a special variable. Bash uses this to determine how to break up arguments and how to split words and do all this stuff. If you mess with it, it can cause issues, but it's a super useful variable, at least especially to be aware of. So by default, it is set to a space, a new line, and a tab. So just basic white space characters. And the way this star notation works is it will stringify it based on the first character of the IFS. Now, the beautiful thing about the IFS is if the IFS is unset, it defaults to acting like the normal IFS, which is new line, space, and tab and all that stuff. So I'll see people write code like this where they'll say like, what was it? They'll say old IFS equals $IFS. They'll do some work, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll say IFS equals old IFS. You don't really need to do that. There's a couple ways around it. You can just unset the IFS and it's the same as the default way of doing it. The other thing you can do is you can use a subshell and you can wrap it. I'll talk more about that later, but for now, we're not going to worry too much about it. We're going to set it to our own string. We'll set it to hello. This is going to be confusing, but bear with me. Now that it's set to hello, when we get this, we get array is foo bar baz separated by h, the first character of hello. So the first character of the IFS is the thing that splits it together, or it stringifies it when you use this star notation and it is quoted. It has to be quoted and you have to use this star notation. But this is useful because I can set IFS to like a colon. And now I have a, or sorry, colon, I said colon, comma. You can set it to a comma, you can set it to a colon, you can set it to whatever. You can get values separated like this and it works. It works really well. So I could say, you know, hello world, and quote that, and then you will see that the commas will do it properly. There's no comma between the two, but there's commas here. So the IFS is very useful and very powerful. It affects how arguments and like words are split in Bash, so you can mess things up. I like to use it under very specific circumstances. You can also wrap this in parentheses. And now this is weird syntax. I will talk about this more. This doesn't create an array. This creates what's called a subshell. And it will work exactly the same, but the beautiful thing is any variables created inside here will be lost when this subshell is over. So you can think of this as like a local scope in a way. So any modifications you make here won't actually persist once this is over. Talk about that more. These are called subshells, but that's a great way of modifying the IFS, but not worrying about modifying it for other parts of the script. So yeah, this is super useful. And of course you can, I think I showed this with associative arrays, but now with index arrays, you can put an exclamation mark here. You can absolutely put an exclamation mark here, and you can loop over the keys of the array. The keys are just numbers in this case, but yeah, you can totally do this. There's nothing stopping you from doing that.